So we're here at Ellison Park,
Yep.
and we have a rig review for you.
Do we ever? So we've got Darren. How are you, Darren?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd capture this truck in a rig review because of the incredible build that it is. It's simply amazing. So why don't we just start with what it is and how it came to be.
Well, it started off with my love of Fords and Broncos and that, so I was looking for Bronco body. I found this one that was modeled by Patrick Fitchie of Frozen RC. We had some communications. Got the body, I had it printed, but I didn't really have a vision for the project. So I started flipping through 79 Broncos and seeing what kind of build I wanted to do. And I stumbled across Moss Brothers Racing. And they're a group that run a Class 3 79 Bronco. And they started in like the early 2000s.
Okay.
I saw the truck and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the group, what they do. I mean, they run this old Bronco through Baja 1000. And
So it's a desert truck.
It's a desert truck.
Okay.
So it's meant to be a Baja racer, but I thought, well, I like the truck. I'll conceptualize it and make it into a crawler. So that's how it started out.
Well, you certainly have done an incredible job on it. So so the body is 3D printed. 3D printed. And so what other bits on it that you took on as a 3D printing project?
Well, the 3D printing project that I did after the body was printed, all the little dash console parts, the GPS, the little switches and that are all the CB, the lens lights up in it. Those are all my 3D printed projects. The fuel cells and batteries, they actually house all my electronics. So
nice.
the battery has my FXR ESC in it.
Okay.
Light controllers and that are all in there. The seats, unfortunately, I have to say that although I developed my own seats, they are Thingiverse seats.
Okay.
So I have to give credit. I can't remember the name of the builder, but I'll have to find him and give him credit.
Yep.
Other 3D printing projects, of course, the pièce de résistance is, of course, the radius arms.
Yes.
Flip it over. We can flip it right over there. So Moss Brothers Racing is sponsored by West Coast Broncos.
Okay.
In California, and this is a West Coast Bronco style radius arm, and I modeled it and tried to mirror what they produce. And of course, you don't get too many radius arm suspensions in the RC world.
Sure.
I thought, okay, let's give it a shot. So I modeled it around an SSD Pro 44 axle.
Okay.
Clocked the tubes so I can get diamond bushings, and I, rendered out my own model for the radius arms. Send them to Shapeways. They're printed in steel bronze finish.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, isn't it? Really, really well done. And let's talk obviously a little bit about the driveline.
The driveline is a GCM scale driveline, of course, with the LRT2 transfer case. The way I found it worked, my drive shaft mounted in a normal Pro 44 position with the axle pinion high,
Okay.
was causing me to get conflict with the oil pan
Sure.
from the engine, which I'll touch on later. But
Yep.
So I flipped the axle.
Okay.
I found reverse rotation gears for the AR440
Sure.
444 axle.
Yeah.
So got everything to rotate the right direction. Like I said, the Pro 44s, the axle tubes are clocked, so they're 90 degrees out, which took a lot of little tweaking and machining out so I could get them to fit and be physically structurally strong.
Yep.
But yeah, so the SSD or the GCM transmission is actually mounted higher than the stock location. It's in a GCM C-Max chassis.
Okay.
Except it's unique in the fact that I cut and
That is
turned
amazing.
the front end, fish plated it, and aluminum brazed it back together.
That's incredible. It's funny because when I was looking at it, when it was right side up, you could see that the C-Max logo was upside down, and I was like, what's going on? And then I took a closer look and realized it. you had done all that work to the front end. So it's really impressive. Let's flip it back up over, and so you've got what, King shocks on that? How are they performing?
They actually work really well.
Yeah.
The ones in the back are used. So they're already quite worn in and stuff.
Okay.
But the suspension action, when I see this thing rolling over the whoops and stuff like that, it looks just like the real one taking a set of whoops on a desert course race.
I have seen it in action, this one in particular, but you had showed me a video of the one-to-one driving through the desert, and it's just absorbing the bumps, and then I see this 1/10 scale version of it absorbing the bumps just like the real thing. It was amazing to see. Just a unique feature in the interior. I don't know, you could talk about your gear shift.
Yeah, the gear shift. Well, actually, let's try and
Go for
pop the body off here. Should come off fairly easily. If I just pop that out. Oh no, it won't, because I got my supports in there. Sorry.
That's okay.
But anyways, the gear shift, way down in there, if I can reach it, is like a little gate shifter, and it actually can shift through all the gate gears, just like a race gate shifter.
And so does the one-to-one have a steering wheel, Craftsman, not steering wheel, gear shifter shoved into it?
It has a Craftsman screwdriver shoved into the shifter mechanism, so that's what they use as their shifter handle. So I had to model it, get it scale accurate.
So how did you get the information to do all of the scale accessories that you put on it?
Well, after I saw the truck online on Facebook, I started flipping through pictures and stuff, but there wasn't just enough that I could grasp all the details I wanted to. So I actually Facebook messengered the owner of the truck, the owner and the driver of the truck.
Wow.
And I said, look, I'm into RC building. I want to do a replica build of your truck. Would you mind sending me pictures or details of the truck? So, you know, after he finished his 2019 Baja 1000 race, he said, I'm busy, but you contact me and we'll get it sorted out. So a few months later, a couple months before I was finishing off this build, he messaged me back. I said, hey, look, this is what I got so far. Can you add some photos for me and stuff like that? So he went into his garage and he started banging off photos and just showing me interior shots, you know, all the fuel cells and how they're arranged, what all the vent lines were for and stuff like that. So it was amazing.
What a great resource to have.
Yeah.
Man, that's excellent. Got an engine in it?
I certainly do.
Let's have a look at that.
The engine, of course, is the one and only Mr. Comedy's 302 V8. I did do some customization because the way the air cleaner, it didn't have an air cleaner as such, because in the race trucks they bring the air cleaner inside the truck to keep it dust free. So I modeled my own intake manifold, or intake plenum for the air intake. I modeled my own servo cover / radiator.
And of course you had the opportunity to reference that from the one-to-one to the photos that he had sent you. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, isn't that neat?
Yeah, so the way the cage goes into the dash and all that, I just kind of tried to dial that in as closely as possible as I could.
But you certainly have done that since I've seen the truck and you showed me pictures.
Yeah.
And you've sort of gone through all those pictures that you got from the gentleman that owns the truck. You've certainly detailed it to exact tolerances, and it's a beautiful replica of it. Tires and wheels combination?
Tires and wheels, the RC four-wheel drive 155 wheels.
Okay.
I really wanted to get some BF Goodrich tires because that's one of their primary sponsors, but I looked and I just couldn't find anything that was the right size, right style. So the closest thing I could find in pattern to a BF GTA would be the Pitbull Berserkers.
Okay.
In 155.
Yep.
Yeah, I got 4 on and then the 2 in the back in the tire cage.
It is a beautiful truck. I'm so glad you brought it here. So F-bomb, I'm seeing F-bomb as a license plate. What's the significance of that?
Well, F being Ford, so to speak, and F-bomb because I've been known to have a potty mouth at times. So
it's fitting
F-bomb
for sure.
gets its name. Yeah.
It's fitting for sure. Well, it's a beautiful truck. I'm glad you brought it here. It's I mean, when Chris and I saw it, we were just like, wow. So thank you for bringing it here. We really appreciate it. It's one of the best builds I've seen in a very long time. So thank you, Darren,
Thank you very much
for bringing it here. What was one of the toughest things you had when you were building this?
The radius arms again.
Radius arms were tough, yeah.
Oh, the radius arm design worked out perfectly. But you know, I put in the tolerance hole for tapping in threads.
Okay.
But what I found was that 3D printed steel bronze is extremely difficult to tap.
Oh, okay.
And I was using an M2 tap.
Oh, wow.
So that's a tiny
Yeah,
tap.
of course, yeah.
And it just like to seize up. So I was doing like, you know, 5 degrees of added thread and backing it out, and 5 degrees more and backing it out. So that was my most frustrating ordeal with building the truck. But I persevered, took my time, and I got them done. And man, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of it, and I'm so happy with the way the radius arms turned out.
You should
Thanks.
be. So is this its maiden sort of event and trail run, or?
This was its shakedown run.
Wow, good.
So basically, yeah, I got it together about a week ago, and
Okay.
had to work long hours. So basically, that was it. I threw it together, finished up nuts and bolts, and then ran it. So it was a shakedown run.
And?
I did exceedingly well. I had a few issues. My cross pin in my transfer case to drive shaft was too long. It was hitting the mount, so I just ran it till it wore itself down. Perfect. And it did. The other thing is that because I just threw the rear axle together, I didn't shim it correctly, so fortunately it was skipping a bit. Okay. I managed to take it apart, no damage to the gear, so I flipped the shims around, and now I think she's good to go for a night run.
There we go. Well, it's a beautiful truck. Darren, thank you again for bringing it here. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Tiny Truck salute.